Dear participants, as the resource person is joining from Kerala, he has got some issues with the connections because of the rains. So kindly bear with us for the inconvenience. So we'll start the webinar within 5 minutes of time. Thank you.
Good morning to you all. A very glad and warm welcome to the fifth day of the national webinar on differentiated instruction in English language classroom new perspectives. First and foremost, as this being the last day of the webinar, I would like to extend my heartiest notes of gratitude to all of the dear participants who have made the series possible. And I also take this opportunity to welcome the resource person of today, Professor R. Sri Prasad, Assistant Professor of the Department of English from NSS College, Pandalam. A very hearty welcome to you, sir, for having joined us after some issues there, network issues. We know that we also, as Coimbaturians, we also have the blessings of rain that comes from Kerala. So we are also enjoying a very beautiful climate here. And thank you for taking your time off in joining the series and making this more meaningful. Thank you again for joining and giving us, sparing your time and your expertise with us. And I also take this opportunity to welcome all the dear participants, faculty members, and students who have been patiently listening. I hope that you would have greatly benefited. And today it's going to be another feather in the cap of the national series. Over to you, Dr. Mahalakshmi, for introducing the resource person of today. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm immensely honored to introduce our guest of the day, Professor Sri Prasad R., who holds more than a decade of teaching and research experience and expertise in poetry, educational psychology, theatre studies, translation, and cultural studies. He is now designated as an assistant professor in the Department of English, NSS College, Pandalam, Kerala. He has published poems in various literary compilations and journals. Call from the Dark, his collection of poems, published in the year 2016, gained him much appreciation. He possesses more than 10 journal publications and book publications and presented papers in several national and international conferences and workshops. He received a grant from UGC and completed a minor research project under the title Implementing a Learner Software for the Enhancement of Vocabulary Acquisition among Degree Level Students. He is with an academic qualification of MA, MEd, MPhil, SET, and NET. His PhD research was on cultural studies and MEd research was on English language teaching. He is also a responsible academician, commenced with several responsibilities like a Program Officer of National Service Scheme for the year 2013-14 at SVR NSS College, Avalur, affiliated to MG University, Kerala. He is also designated as an additional superintendent for conducting university-level examinations for the year 2016-17 at NSS College, Pandalam, affiliated to University of Kerala. He then designated as the convener of Translation Center, Vivardhan, since 2018. Thus, for today's session, we have this eminent personality is going to enlighten us by revisiting the shores of artistry. Preeti, excuse me. With all the curiosity, now I hand over the session to our distinguished guest. Sir, please, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the wonderful words from your side. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Anandi for inviting me to this gathering of individuals from different parts of Tamil Nadu and Kerala or various other places. Could you please tell whether you can see my screen? I'm going to share my screen. Anandi ma'am, is it audible?
Yes, sir, it is audible. It is audible.
Can you see the screen now? Is it visible?
Yes, sir, your screen is visible. It's visible.
Okay. Before moving into the topic, for the past 4 days, you have been dealing with various arrays of language learning experiences. As a student of literature and also as a student of language, we all know that language learning constitutes of 4 different skills, whether it's listening, speaking, reading, or writing. These 4 skills are the cornerstones of learning any language for that matter. But you may wonder why I have chosen such a title for this language teaching course. It is titled as Revisiting the Shores of artistry. We all are dealing with a different kind of art. Learning is an art. A learner is like an artist inside a classroom. The same is that of a teacher or a pedagogue. The way in which the teacher handles the class inside a classroom makes him feels like an artist. And in a language learning situation, or as a student of literature, whenever you face students in front of you, you are becoming more than an artist. You're going to deal with life of different individuals from the past. You're going to share moments of glory to the students, whether it's in the process of language learning or whether it's in the process of literature. There are different views that literature and language learning cannot be separated. But as far as theoreticians are concerned, language learning is a different phenomena than that of literature. But literature is always our summum bonum. We are, as individuals, desire to be a student of literature first, than that a language. It's my personal opinion, you may differ, but that's why I have chosen this title as, even if it's English language teaching, you are going to deal with a kind of an art. Therefore, my title is Revisiting the Shores of Artistry. Before I entering into my talk, I just want you to ponder over these 3 lines. I will give you 1 minute. Try to find out a meaning for these 3 lines. You don't want to explain it to me. You can just look into these lines, read between the lines, and try to find a meaning out of it. I will give you 1 minute. Anandi ma'am, is it clear?
Yes, sir, it is clear. You are audible. The screen is also.
Okay, if you face any interruption in between, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. If I should die, think only this of me, that there is some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. I will give you 30 more seconds. Thank you very much for your valuable time spent. If I should die, think only this of me, that there is some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. You keep your understanding of these 3 lines in your mind, and I am going to just say a few things more about these 3 lines. We all know that learning a language enables us to understand more about listening, reading, speaking, and writing. And learning a language manages to have this particular pattern. You have to learn in this particular pattern in order to analyze words in a different way, in a meaningful way, LSRW pattern. Though theoreticians differ, most of them agree with the view that listening should come first. But I'm going to take you to a different perspective. We all say that the first step of learning a language is listening. But even though you want to listen, when you listen, you are giving much concentration to your hearing process. Therefore, an innate mental process is happening inside you. That is what we call cognition. Your ability to think inward, your ability to think over things. Therefore, when you hear something, you are having a feeling inside you that you have to heed your ears to those words. Therefore, some process is happening inside you. That gives that initiation from your part to listen to those words. Therefore, earlier days, we feel that, or we were having that feeling that listening was the main foundation of language learning scenario. But these days, especially after post-truth situations, or what we can say, we are facing things for the betterment of human beings. We are facing things for the betterment of this universe, whatever it be. Man is having an intention to listen to his heart's words or the words of the soul. Therefore, you are having more interest to instruction from the inside. Therefore, cognition refers to the mental activity, including thinking, remembering, learning, and using language. When we apply a cognitive approach to learning and teaching, we focus on the understanding of information and concepts. We learn English language. We have learned English language during our kindergarten days. But I'm very sure that if I ask a question, A for, you will suddenly say apple. You have been learning English for the past 10 to 15 years. Still, if I ask you to say B for, suddenly you will say bat or ball. Undoubtedly, you can choose only one thing for the letter C, C for cat. Because this is something that we have been enamored with the pronunciation of our beloved teachers during our kindergarten days. Therefore, this is something that can be termed as rote learning. Earlier theoreticians used to say that language is a form of behavior. We have to learn language with the help of many concepts, and these concepts could be developed only with the help of a behavior formation of the individual learner. But these days, the idea of behaviorism is totally being shattered, and now the interest is going to be taken for the individual level of the learner, where the learner is having enough interest to learn a new situation, whether it's a word or a situation or a scene or a poem or a prospice or whatever it be. The learner can approach literature in his own way. Individualized instruction is the norm of the day. Therefore, even for individualized instruction, the student should have the feeling to think. Cognition becomes a very important term nowadays inside language learning situation too. Therefore, cognition refers to the mental activity including thinking, remembering, learning, and using language. Even though you are not well versed in a language, you think with the language. Even for a student or a child of 1 or 2 years of age, he is using a language with which he is thinking. Therefore, language happens before speaking. Therefore, language happens before listening. Before listening, there is a language, the innateness of language of a child, because he could only listen after entering into this space. But he is having another special feature of language which we cannot define. Some, in the case of Chomsky and terms and all, we will say it as language acquisition device and all. But there is nothing such that would say, as we call language acquisition device or all. But some process is happening inside the learner or the student or the child itself. If a cognition refers to the mental activity including thinking, remembering, learning, and using language. When we apply a cognitive approach to learning and teaching, we focus on the understanding of information and concepts. If we can understand the connections between concepts, break down information, and rebuild with logical connections, then our rendition of material and understanding will increase. This is some of the most important items propounded by the new critics. You have to read the text as it is. You have to give a meaning of your own. There is nothing called author, death of an author. The same is that with the case of a language learning situation too. The student should be given enough opportunities to use his brain in order to analyze what he is having in front. Therefore, if the student can understand the connections between concepts, break down information, and rebuild with logical connections, our understanding of the material, our introspection of the material will make the learning process a wonderful achievement. I hope you remember the 3 lines that I've told you to read earlier. We will move on to the remaining part of those lines. If I should die, think only this of me, that there is some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. Therefore, as you have taken it in your dream that it's the writing of a soldier, some may think beyond this imagination. If they have done so, they have done a great achievement in their life because they are having a new reading of what is there in front of them. There shall be in that rich earth a richer dust concealed, a dust whom England bore, shaved, made aware, gave once her flowers to love, her ways to roam, a body of England's, breathing English air, washed by the rivers, blessed by sons of home. This is one of the best poems written by the soldier, written by Rupert Brooke. The title of the poem is The Soldier. Although Rupert Brooke was not killed in the war, like Secret Sassoon or so, but this is an enchanting poem. And the mindset of a soldier is very well evident in this poem. The soldier says that if he met death in his battlefield, please make believe that. You have to believe that the place in which I have been laid down dead will remain English forever. It is only for England, the 6 foot, that concealed part of this dead body will be always for England. That is forever England. You cannot take that place away from England. I will live as an Englishman. I will die as an Englishman. And even after my death, even my bonds will remain for England, not for any other national. Therefore, this is what the crux of the poem. Therefore, in order to understand the crux of this particular writer, you have to revisit the battlefield. You have to revisit the shows of battle which had experienced by a soldier. Therefore, in order to have that experience, you have to think, you have to ponder, you have to introspect. Only you can give a new meaning to the text. Only with the help of your own innate thinking, you can make this learning process magnificent. Therefore, if I should die, think only this of me, that there is some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. There shall be in that rich earth a richer dust concealed, a dust whom England bore, shaped, made aware, gave once her flowers to love, her ways to roam, a body of England's, breathing English air, washed by the rivers, blessed by sons of home. I hope you understood the meaning of the poem. This is a picture of a soldier lying on a battlefield dead. Give some time to look at this picture. He is laying down bare in a foreign land, but he gives the expression that this land, even it's a foreign land, this place where he is laying over there, this place is always for England. No one has a claim other than his land, England. This is for England. Okay, come back. Cognitivism as a theory of learning studies about the process occurs inside the learner's mind. It has also on the history about how it happens or the development of it. The development of cognitivism theory is famous with the term cognitive revolution. As I've said earlier, cognitivists try to make a revolt against the behavioristic notion of learning. Behavioristic think that language is a form of behavior. It's a form of rote learning, and with the passage of time, the students will understand what words are, and slowly they will make sentences out of it. And gradually, with the help of rote learning and instruction from the part of the teachers, the students can learn language. This was the attitude of the behaviorist. But during the 1960s, a new approach had become the norm of the day, especially after some of the publications done by Benjamin Bloom during the 1950s and 1960s. Slowly, cognitivism became a new theory of language learning. It is a name for an intellectual movement in the 1950s that began with what are known collectively as the cognitive sciences. We all know that we are living in a world where man has been given more interest in learning the thinking process of individuals. We don't know how do you behave, how a normal human being behaves abnormally in a different situation. Even the same situation elicits different responses from individuals. Why is it happening? Therefore, more than learning are the resultant of various other factors. Most of the psychologists or social constructivists, they are of the norm that man is not an entity. Man is always relative. Whenever he approaches a new situation, he behaves in a new format. Something other than his normal self is actively playing a part inside himself. Therefore, we cannot predict what a man will do in the very next moment. Something is working inside the human being. Therefore, as far as a learner is concerned, inside a classroom, the teacher cannot even predict the attitude of the learner, even though the teacher is teaching him for the past 5 to 10 years. We cannot elicit proper responses from a learner in the same manner in every situation. Therefore, cognition is a very difficult thing. We cannot easily define it in situations. It began in the modern context of greater interdisciplinary communication and research. Although cognitive psychology emerged in the late 1950s and began to take over as the dominant theory of learning, it wasn't until the late 1970s that cognitive science began to have its influence on instructional design. Although it was considered as a psychological approach by different exponents of that time during the 1970s and all, but in the process of teaching, instruction, cognitivism was not being used till 1970s. Only after 1970s, more interest was taken with regard to the interest of cognitivism inside a language learning situation and especially a classroom situation. Therefore, I've given you 3 lines at first, then a poem, and I've shown you a picture. I hope that you gained something out of these 3 things for the past half an hour. I will show you one more thing. And please look into that picture for some time and you will understand you have made a different perspective. That shows your creativity. That shows your introspection. Please watch the next picture. We were dealing with Rupert Brooks' The Soldier poem. And in that, you have seen an English soldier. And he dealt with certain life experiments in the battlefield. You can wonder that that soldier may be someone like this individual. This individual can be a similar soldier that of Rupert Brooks, the soldier. He may be wondering about his family. He may be wondering about his close friends. Many things can come to his mind. This smiling face is not always smiling because he is now in the battlefield. Okay. When we are aware of the mental actions that are happening inside our psychomotor domain, the psychological processes are happening inside. When we are aware of these mental actions, try to monitor them and control our learning processes. Whenever you are having the belief that you are engaged in a process of learning, you should give ample time to monitor those instances. If you are having the ability to monitor them in a clear-cut manner, I'm very sure that most of the students inside our classroom are experts. No doubt, they are all experts. But we don't know, the teachers don't know what their expertise is. We have to understand their expertise. And it's a very difficult task. And more than a teacher, the learner can make himself aware of the mental actions while listening to a particular experience. I call learning as an experience, whether it's reading a poem or listening to a song or whatever it be. Every student give different meanings to context. Every student. We cannot predict what students will say. They will give you wonderful answers. And sometimes the students behave better than the teacher. The teacher becomes a puppet in front of a group of students who are having wonderful thought processes in their mind. Therefore, when the students are aware of their mental actions, try to monitor them and control the learning processes. And this itself is called metacognition, which varies from situation to situation, and it will greatly affect how individuals behave in each situation. Metacognition is and whenever you get a chance to monitor your ideas, your thought processes, your actions, your psychological processes, whatever it be, try to guide these actions in a proper way. The individual himself can do that. An understanding of language or psycholinguistics. It is very much essential for our understanding of print and oral acquisition of language or knowledge. As you all know, linguistics is a scientific study of language. And along with that, if you are giving your own mental self with that scientific study of language, you are engaged in the process of psycholinguistics. And these days, scientists are trying their level best to give this notion to a computer. Artificial intelligence is there, but you are trying to incorporate this psycholinguistic scenario in a computer or a machine. Then Moxon's Master, one of the famous literary piece, that will be a reality. Something like that can happen in future. If the machines are going to think with the help of their own psyche, you're going to face a terrible individual in the imminent future. Therefore, think of our own achievements as human beings. You are all having this faculty of thinking, cognition. You can think whatever you want to think. That's a great achievement. Therefore, if you are having the desire to think and think in a proper manner, try to monitor them and control your learning processes. This will help you a lot during the process of learning. Understanding, you all know that not all learners are rote learners. Individuals differ. Some can understand a passage with a single reading. Some may take 10 to 20 readings. Some may take 5 readings in order to get a gist out of it. Therefore, individuals differ. Understanding a language or psycholinguistics is essential to our understanding of print and oral acquisition of language. For that, 2 important terms are very much important: comprehension and perception. The way you perceive things. Yeah, you're about 70 to 80 individuals over here. I couldn't find the number properly. Anyway, I am very sure that the way in which all are comprehended, the ideas of the poem are different. The way you perceive these ideas are different. This will allow individuals to interpret information in their own sake. As we all know that listening, speaking, reading, and writing, these are only skills. Skills are something that we gain with the help of practice, experience. constant practice will make you a man having proper skills in these language skills. But that is not the case with talent. The person who is talented is having certain innate qualities. Therefore, we cannot give these kinds of skills for a talented student. All students are having talents. But more than a teacher, it is better for the learner to understand what his talent is. Then he can get a new opportunity to make his learning process in a new direction. He can avail his talent in the betterment of his future. Therefore, he should understand what he is having. He should monitor them in a proper way, and he should control his learning processes. Therefore, you can achieve the situation of metacognition. The overall motivation is of the learner will determine how effectively the information is retained or processed. Earlier, we have seen the picture of an English soldier. This is also an English soldier. Just look through this feeling. He is also an English soldier. But even in his face, you can find the themes of poverty, segregation, racial discrimination. You may be having a different reading of the poem, The Soldier. Therefore, what gives you that new meaning or newer shades of knowledge, the newer shades of meaning, the newer shades of interpretation? It's only based on your thinking process. This can be also the same soldier written by Rupert Brooke. He may be saying that even after his death, or only after his death, his country will analyze his importance as a human being, his importance as an Englishman. Therefore, the way in which students understand texts will be different inside a classroom. The same poem can have different implications on the mindset of the audience. That is not at all a wrongdoing. That is the necessity of the contemporary times. Everyone should read, everyone should listen, everyone should speak in a new way. And even in the case of writing, writings differ. That is why we do have different kinds of thinkers all these years. We all believe that Socrates was one of the best philosophers of all time. And his Socratic method, whenever there is or heuristic method, for every question, there will be an answer. One day, one of his famous students, disciples, tried to trick Socrates. And he approached Socrates and asked him, "You're a great philosopher, my teacher, my dear teacher, you're a great philosopher. But I am very doubtful these days. I just want to know one thing." And the students were, all other disciples were very much eager to listen to the words of the student. And Socrates was very much eager to answer this question. The disciple asked Socrates, "What is truth? My dear teacher, please tell me what is truth." You are asking a question to a philosopher, one of the greatest philosophers of all time. Therefore, if you are giving an answer, if it's not proper, you may be ridiculed for all times. But think of an answer for this question. What is truth? You may say, truth is my mother, truth is my father, truth is my teacher, truth is my friend, truth is my love. Anything can be your answer. But there lies the importance of a novel thinker, a new thinker. A thinker who is always having new interpretations in his mind, novel interpretations in his mind. That makes Socrates one of the greatest philosophers of all time. The answer given by Socrates is very much thought provoking. He just replied, "What is not truth?" His disciple asked this question, "What is truth?" Socrates has given an answer, "What is not truth?" That was an answer to many a question to that student. Well, that kind of an answer can be given by only a thinker. I'm very sure that in every situation, your dear teachers, our dear teachers will face similar experiences in their life. There are great philosophers than Socrates inside the classrooms. We cannot even give a definition for such wonderful individuals inside the classrooms. Therefore, every thinking gives you a new way of life, a new way of interpretation. Students are not learning to their full potential because often they use rote memory procedures inside the classroom. We try to buy heart. We are always interested to have rote memory as our bosom friend. But it's a wrong notion. I cannot say that it's a wrong notion. There are better procedures than that. For students are not learning to their full potential because often they use rote memory procedures inside the classroom. With the increased competition in the workforce and jobs becoming more demanding, students need to be more prepared for higher learning and the job market with skills that evolve from cognitive approach. With the increased competition in the workforce and jobs becoming more demanding, and I'm very sorry to say that even students of language and literature, they're interested in rote learning. They're satisfied with a PDF document from the internet. Even before you teach a passage, my simple suggestion is, first of all, try to read it as fresh as the month of May. Try to read it as you can. It will give you a new reading. And after that, you can go for additional notes and all. But before moving into the text, please don't go for additional notes because it will destroy the originality of the text. As a student of literature and language, my suggestion is try to have a fresh reading, your reading. Like you, only in this world, you only can read. No other person can read the text as you read the text. Therefore, try to have your own reading of a text, your own learning procedure. You don't want to copy others. Therefore, with the increased competition in the workforce and jobs becoming more demanding, students need to be more prepared for higher learning at the job market with skills that evolve from cognitive approach. Wherever you go, even in a BPO, even as a software developer, you need to come out with new perspectives or newer ideas, fresh ideas, novel interpretations. That only can make you a better individual. Therefore, as far as a student of literature, you should also make your try to read a word in your own way. These skills, including study skills, social skills, problem solving, and organizational skills, to name a few, should be taught and integrated across the curriculum. What all skills they are, whether it is study skills or social skills or problem solving skills. Earlier, used to say that there is a hierarchy of learning or a learning procedure during the uh, educational degree and all. For the B.Ed and M.Ed, they used to teach Gatney's hierarchy of learning. We say signal learning, stimulus response learning, chaining, verbal association, multiple discrimination, problem solving, principle learning, concept learning. Gatney's hierarchy of learning. This is the way in which you have to learn things. But we cannot say that this may be the process that is happening inside the minds of the learner. There may be differences. We cannot say that we are going to learn only by signals. Signals, stimulus response, verbal association, multiple discrimination, concept learning, principle learning, problem solving. This may not be the order in which we are going to learn our language and all. Every students differ. Every student differ. Therefore, we cannot say that this should be the pattern for almost all the learner. But you have to incorporate all these skills, study skills, whether it's the social skills or problem solving or the organization skills or whatever it be. You try to incorporate all these skills in your mindset. Whenever you are in need of it, try to use it. But the learner, the sole learner only can use this. The teacher can only be an initiator. Therefore, my dear students, try to achieve these skills as your own. Earlier, we say that there was a taxonomy proposed by Bloom, Benjamin Bloom, during the 1950s. And only with the help of Benjamin Bloom, we can say that, I hope I don't have, yes, it's 11 o'clock. Dr. Anandi, ma'am? Dr. Anandi? Hello? Anandi, ma'am? Hello?
Sir, actually, ma'am is in meeting, sir. She is in different meet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, can you do you follow?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can able to follow.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Regarding the cognitive skills of the learner, there are two different kinds of approaches. The first approach was given by Benjamin Bloom. He can be regarded as the proponent of cognitive approaches. And he gave the interpretation as knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. These are the steps in which a learner will be having the approaches towards cognitivism. Knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. A cognitive approach started during, as I said earlier, it started during the 1950s and 60s, especially because of one of the wonderful texts written by Benjamin Bloom, Taxonomy of Educational Objectives. And in that particular text, he was trying to give a new interpretation towards learning or language learning scenario. And after this, he had done a series of series of seminars and presentations. And he gathered all these papers in two difficult books. I should say, two difficult books. The first book was titled as Hard Book 1, which was focusing on cognitive approaches as such. And the second one was concentrating on Hard Book 2, which was termed as Affective Domains as well. It was published during the 1964, I think, 1964. And these recent times, during the 2001, there was a renewed interest in cognitive approach. Therefore, the first hard book one, which focused more on the cognitive approaches, or later made a revision in 2001. And now we do have a new sets of steps: remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. This is a revised taxonomy put forward by Anderson and Krathov. The original taxonomy in the sense that the procedure, hierarchy, we can say, the original one was knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. These all processes happen within a language learning situation. There is no particular order in which you have to gain evaluation. Some of the important problems with these kinds of steps, in the sense that some may think that students who are only having knowledge should be considered as meager, or students who are having only comprehension ability should be considered as individuals who don't have much to learn from. That is not so. But this is just a group of differentiation with which we can analyze that. Some of the students will be concentrating more on the knowledge scenario. Some are more interested in comprehending ideas. Some, on the other hand, are interested more to apply these ideas in proper situations. But some only are interested in analyzing situations. Some, on the other hand, are, I would say, always interested to combine all these ideas and create a kind of synthesis. But some others are only in an introspection mode. They are only interested in evaluation. Some individuals are having all these aspects in a similar mode. Such individuals or such students will be called as cliques, or advanced learners and all. But all these steps are important inside a classroom situation. All students will be having these notions. Some may be having the analysis part in a greater extent, let it be. Some may be having the interest for knowledge, please appreciate him. But the learner should understand what is his ability. Whether he is having an ability to know things, please try to monitor it. Try to monitor them, control them. Then you will have a wonderful experiences of language learning process. Why is creativity important in language classrooms? Because language use itself is a creative act. We transform thoughts into language that can be heard or seen. We are capable of producing sentences, and even long sentences, that we have never heard or seen before. By giving learners creative exercises, we get them to practice an important sub-skill of using a language, which means thinking creatively. Therefore, language use is a creative act. Please don't consider it as a form of behavior. It is a form of creation. Language is a form of creation. Sometimes you may think about some of the wonderful lines, some of the great lines in previous years. Full many a gem of purest race rain, the dark unfathomed caves of ocean bare, full many a flower of bone to bone, actually bone, blush unseen, and lost its sweetness in the desert air. Still, it's giving new interpretations to individuals inside the classroom. You can in whatever lines you want to be. You have to gain that experience with your own thinking. Your own thinking makes it a new phenomenon. Therefore, students should make use of his thinking procedures in a proper way. Second important thing is that compensation strategies, methods used for making up for lack of language in a communicative situation, example, miming, drawing, paraphrasing used for getting meaning across, use creative and often imaginative ways of expression. Our learners will need these until they master the language. There are different ways of inculcating a language in the learner. You can use mimes, drawings, paraphrasing. Even if you are getting enough opportunities to uh, translate things inside the classroom, if there are beautiful songs in Tamil, try to ask them to translate into English. They will give you new understandings. And this is my simple request for my dear students. If you are facing any difficulty to learn English as a language, try to translate. Translate it in your own way. Keep a notebook of your own. Try to translate words in English and vice versa. You can translate English words into Tamil. You don't want to show it to anyone. But this is a nice procedure to improve your language learning process. Many individuals cannot learn at all if they are not allowed to be creative. Now, this is very much important. If you are not giving a proper situation inside the classroom for the student to be creative enough, some students may not be interested to learn. Some cannot learn. They should be given proper creative practices inside the classroom. Then they will come out with wonderful answers, wonderful answers. I remember one day when I asked one of my classes to say one line about shelter. I asked them to say a line having the meaning shelter. And I still remember one student gave me an answer, but he gave me an answer in Malayalam. I will say the student's answer in Malayalam. You may get something out of it. I've asked him to write a sentence on shelter. And that student gave me the answer, Marameta Veilana Tanal. Maram Eta Veilana Tanal. Tanal means shelter. Maram means tree. He gave me an answer that what we call shelter is nothing but the heat received by the tree. The heat, the scorching heat received by the tree is termed as shelter. The line is full of meanings. How can you define shelter in a better way? The scorching heat taken by the tree is termed as shelter. Therefore, such instances can happen inside classrooms. Therefore, try to have a creative atmosphere inside the classroom. This creative approach will surely help the students to ponder over ideas, new ideas, fresher ideas, enable the students to understand more about cognitivism, thinking process, their abilities. Most people become more motivated, inspired, or challenged if they can create something of value. If they value that in some ways, what they do and how do they reflect, with the help of that, they will reflect them as a different human being. They will try to analyze them in a different way. Creativity improves self-esteem. You will have a confidence in yourself, your own self. Yeah, I do have this. Therefore, I will try my level best to improve more. Creativity improves self-esteem as learners can look at their own solutions to problems and their own products as see what they are able to achieve. Therefore, creativity is a panacea for individuals who are lacking confidence. Therefore, creativity gives these individuals a kind of self-esteem. Their creativity helps these individuals to gather confidence. Those who have lost confidence in their whole life gave them opportunities to be creative, and you can see wonders out from their lives. Creative work in the language classroom can lead to genuine communication and cooperation. Learners use the language to do the creative task, so they use it as a tool in its original function. This prepares learners for using the language instrumentally outside the classroom. Creativity tasks enrich the classroom work, and they make it more varied and more enjoyable by tapping into individual talents, ideas, and thoughts, both the learners and the teachers. Creative thinking is an important skill in real life. It is a part of our survival strategies and is a force behind personal growth and the development of culture and society. These are the different skills in which these cognitive skills can be developed. Whether it's remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and creative. The creativity should be the one of the most important ingredients of language learning. If students become creative, they can learn this language in a new way. They can enjoy language learning in a better way. I am winding up the session by giving one of the wonderful lines written by Robert Frost. The best way out is always through. Therefore, what all things you want to achieve in your life, what all wondrous incidents you are going to gain in your life, try to experience it, try to feel it. As psychologists say, there are three domains in which learning process can be dominated. One is cognitive. The second one is affective. Third, we say sensory or sensory motor. As far as students are concerned, students of literature are concerned, we are more interested to be sensory and affective. We give more importance to our feelings. But please don't forget that cognitive domain is also very much important in the life of a student of literature. With the help of newer thinkings, newer thought processes, your learning becomes more meaningful and more fruitful. Thank you very much for your kind listening. If you do have any doubt, please ask.
Thank you very much, Professor. Sorry, I just had to be away for you know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes because we had the heads meeting scheduled all of a sudden. So I had to be away. Sorry. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. Participants, over to you. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Dear participants, if you have any doubt, you can unmute and ask the resource person.
Hello, can I ask a question, ma'am? I have a question.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
please.
Yeah. Sir, thank you for the wonderful session. It's just a clarification. Do you think reading will, to a large extent, help our students to improve their thinking skills? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful question. Reading will surely help students to improve their thinking skills because you read the mindset of individuals who have lived a life of their own in the past. Therefore, you are traveling along with them. If you say that, if you are, I will give you an example. One of the famous quotes by Shakespeare: "If you prick us, do we not bleed?" If you read this particular passage, when you read this particular passage, you are traveling along with the mindset of the character. You are traveling along with the mindset of the similar minded individuals. Therefore, reading gives you a new kind of approach towards learning. You are moving with the psychological aspects of the writer, the character, and your own self. That is why we do have artists of different types. The same scene will be enacted differently by different actors. That makes them wonderful actors because they are trying to incorporate some of their feelings along with the script. Likewise, if a student is going to read a text, if he is having the ability to try to incorporate some of his innate ideas along with that of the text, you will be a wonderful reader. And it will give you more meanings. That text will be more benefited by the reading. Therefore, the reader can surely say that when a student will be given more opportunities to read, he will be a great individual of creation. Thank you very much, sir, for that question.
Thank you, sir.
Dear participants, you can ask your questions or you can post your questions in the chat box. Thank you.
To add one idea of what the previous questioner asked me, there is a famous poem by Maya Angelou, "Still I Rise." The poem starts like this: "You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the you may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise." Likewise, we cannot say that the author is dead. After every reading by the reader, the author is coming back to life. The reader is giving the author a new dimension. Likewise, the reader is also getting a new interpretation from the text. This will surely improve the creativity aspect of the learner.
Hello, Professor. I have a question, or rather,
Yeah.
it is not a question. This is actually I would like to share my thought. As you were just saying about reading, this is a question which is there always. So, as a teacher of English, we find it so difficult to actually make a student read, especially the classics. When we
Yeah.
were students, we didn't have any other scope or resources as the students of today have, because we would definitely we had only the text or the novel to depend upon. We didn't have any other resources, so we had to sit and read. But today's student is not like that. He gets enough and more resources from the internet, and other resources are readily available. So has this slackened or caused a lag in the students' interest towards reading? This is my question to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Earlier, we used to say that we have to read such and such text, and the students will be given an opportunity to read the text as such. But these days, as I've said earlier, students are having more opportunities to have an exposure towards the text, what the text is about the writer and all. And they are trying to be away from the originality of the text. They are not ready to live in dead bodies. They are trying to breathe fresh air in new pastures, but only with the help of a PDF document. But that is not good. That's why I just want to say that you have to live in dead bodies. You have to breathe fresh air in new pastures. But if you want to have new pastures, you should try to make a reading of your own before getting a PDF document from the net, from the internet. We used to say that cliches are dead expressions in the past, but even cliches are having new meanings. Therefore, if you are having a new reading to a cliche, you are giving creative attitude to the text. Therefore, my dear students, it's my request from my part, it's my request because these days you are getting ample opportunities to secondary materials from the internet. But if it's a if it's possible for you to read the text as an original one, not the reading of the author, not the reading of a secondary author, not the reading of your teacher. Try to read as your own. You will get a new meaning. There is a one famous quote by Rabindranath Tagore. Whenever the teacher enters the class, the minds of the students should be a clean blackboard. And whenever the teacher leaves the class, the minds of the student should be again a clean blackboard. Whatever happens in between, that is learning. Therefore, rote learning is not the norm. You have to make things as it is from your own creativity. So there is no need to write down things even. You can store in your mind, and you have to give fresher meanings after some time. Not for examinations and all. Even for examinations, you can use your creative attitude for essay type questions. So whatever happens in between, that is learning. Whenever the teacher enters the class, minds of the student should be a clean blackboard. Whenever the teacher leaves the class, the minds of the student should be again a clean blackboard. Whatever happens in between, that is learning.
Yes, Professor. Thank you. Thank you for that valuable reply. I would also like to add on, like, for example, when we read the novel of Jane Austen, for example, Pride and Prejudice, if we read, I don't know, actually, we have it, prescribed for our undergraduate students, but I really doubt, like, how many students would have read the novel in full from cover
Hmm.
to cover. How many of them would have read? Actually, the a movie is also available on this short on the novel. But I don't know if the movie, after reading the novel and watching the movie, I would definitely say that the movie, however, it has tried to justify. We can never just underestimate the power of the director. But still, I would always prefer the novel. So I really, would want the present day students also to enjoy the taste of reading from the books, the novels, as you have rightly pointed out. Thank you, Professor. Thanks for the reply.
Ma'am, I just want to add one more thing.
Yes, Professor, please.
Wuthering Heights' famous novel. Try to watch the movie. You will make a journey through Heathcliff. That is a new interpretation given by the director. The same is that with the case of students and also the teachers. Even a mediocre teacher can change a class of students or brilliant students into a desert. Like the other way, a better teacher can change a class of mediocre students into a heaven. Therefore, these are situations that we cannot predict. But unfortunately, as you have rightly suggested, these days students are not having enough opportunity to read the text as it is. We are only at the back of examinations and writing test, not about their proper understanding of the study material. And it's very sorry to say that our students of literature are also not at all interested in uh, appreciating text as it is. They are only interested in gaining marks. This should be changed. Our hope should be for a better tomorrow where students, we are all part of the student fraternity. We have to be more interested in making our reading original. Thank you.
Yes, Professor. Thank you. I definitely agree with you. I hope the students who are here are listening to this, and I keep on repeating this in my classroom also. Go back. It's like we have to start a movement, I think. Go back to the text. Yes, Professor. Thank you.
Sir, can you place a suggestion how to motivate the students to read original text?
Yeah, the teacher can take uh, any idea can be given to the student. You can just give one important line from that text. You can create an interest in the learner to know more. If you are saying that, I will say about one of the famous novels written by James Coetzee, Disgrace. In that novel, there is a line by Lucy, the daughter of David Lurie, one of the protagonist of the novel, David Lurie. His daughter Lucy once say that love will grow. I'm not going to kill my child, although he is being given by an intruder. Someone has molested me and given me a child, but I'm not interested to kill that baby. She says that love will grow. How can you give a proper definition to this line? Love will grow. In order to understand the feeling of Lucy, you have to read the novel. But the teacher can inspire the learner that this is one of the famous quotation from this particular novel. This is the scene of the novel. You will understand more about the inner workings of Lucy, the character, daughter to David Lurie. If you are interested to learn more about David Lurie and his daughter's suffering, read the novel. Some silly instances sometimes give the students better opportunities to read. These are all situational. We cannot predict this is the better way to give something like this, but some situations can promote the teacher as well as the student to learn to read, to be creative inside the classroom and out of it.
Any other questions, participants?
Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you very much, Professor, for being with us today. It was a very informative and enlightening morning. And along with the drizzles and the showers you have given us, just like that, in a very a soft but a very strong notions on the new perspectives altogether. Thank you very much, Professor. Over to you, Mahalakshmi.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. So, showing gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful things humans can do for each other. Most valued invited guest and resource person of today, Dr. R. Sri Prasad, respected head of the department, Dr. M. Anandi ma'am, beloved faculty, and lovable students of srcw and other institutions, good morning. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. On behalf of the department, I take this opportunity to thank the management and the principal of our college for rendering the fullest support and motivation to conduct an event like this. Next, I thank our head, Dr. M. Anandi, for her constant support, encouragement, guidance, and being a pillar for the department and faculty. Thank you, ma'am. And I thank our faculty who are the backbone behind the success of this webinar series. And most importantly, I register my sincere thanks to Professor Devadas for sharing his comments and opinions in all the sessions. Thank you, sir. And I extend my hearty vote of thanks to all the speakers for gracing their important work and sharing with us their findings and opinions. Thank you, sirs. Next, it's my honor to thank the resource person of today, Dr. R. Sri Prasad. Your session gave an insight into a theory cognitivism and its role in language learning. Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session. But last but not least, I also extend my thanks to the participants for their enormous cooperation in the organization of this event. I hope that this webinar series has helped us to explore a lot on language learning. I once again thank one and all for the success of this 5-day national level webinar series on differentiated instruction in the language learning classroom. New perspectives. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anandi, Dr. Mahalakshmi, and all the sincere souls behind this organization. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, dear participants, and hope we will meet soon in a webinar like this. Thank you all very much. Thank you, sir.
Dear participants, kindly fill the feedback form and your certificate will be generated within a day. Thank you all. Thank you once again.